Went live on Twitch. Anyway, hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, with strong rumours going around that Al Thani Qatari ownership takeover of Manchester United is moving closer tonight. Now, I'll get into where this is all coming from. I've got an interesting bit of story in relation to Jude Bellingham as well. I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, we are approaching that time of the year where nonsense can occur, but yeah, well, remind me about the Bellingham thing here, because we're talking about Manchester United. I wasn't even going to do a show tonight, because obviously we're doing Man City Arsenal, which I'm live at 7:30 on That's Football. Join me for that. I wasn't going to do a show. And then this has sort of come through this afternoon and spoken to a couple of people. And basically where this all came from, I was speaking to somebody this afternoon about United, about the takeover. They're very good in the industry. Paul's just gifted 5 memberships. You're a legend. And basically, I was saying, I've been talking about it on the United Stand. There's these protests on Sunday, which we've been talking about. Fans are going to march to the ground, anti-Glazer. They're not going to go in for 18 minutes. And I was saying, surely we're going to get some news this week, because they've been very good at reporting about it. Surely we're going to get some news this week from the Glazers where they say there's a full sale, because they'll try and stop the protests on Sunday. And this person said to me, well, the story coming out is that the Glazers don't care about the protests on Sunday, because what damage do the protests do when they know they're selling the club? It doesn't matter. They don't need to come out on Thursday or Friday or Saturday and say we're selling the club. They can do it next Monday, Tuesday, because they know they're selling the club and they know the price that has been offered. So in one way, it's a good news. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't get anything before then, but effectively, my feeling has always been, well, Andy Max just gifted 10 memberships as well. Andy and Paul, you are legends. Thank you very much. But my feeling was always that the Glazers would try and stop the protests. They'd try and calm the protests down, because obviously all the negativity that will occur in, the general press from the fan base, all that stuff will be out there. So, it's big, they'll try and stop it. But as I say, I was speaking to somebody this afternoon who's quite well sourced around it, and they were saying, no, that people have asked that, tried to find that out from the club. They've tried to find it out from, the Rain Group and people like that. And obviously no one officially will say anything. But the feeling is that the Glazers are not detracted or interested in any protest. They've had protests before. They're not that interested in the impact of stopping the protests. What they're interested in is the final offers on Friday. And then they'll pick the best and then they'll sell the club. And who cares about protests against Aston Villa if they're leaving anyway? So, I mean, look, it's another up yours to fans, but, fans, you've had that for, years. The good thing is that they're going to sell the club. Now, the logical thing there is, and this is going round, you might have heard it anyway, you might have seen it on social media, you might have seen it on certain forums, this is going round anyway. So I admit I've seen the rumours, I've seen all that, but I have spoken to a couple of people about, well, does that mean that Qatari ownership of Manchester United is just around the corner? And logically, yes, there's a massive amount of confidence coming in from Al Thani's party and Qatar that they will get hold of Manchester United. But ultimately, the belief is that this is going to happen, and it's going to happen very, very soon. The Glazers camp is apparently resigned to the fact that they can't really do anything more. They've tried 3 bids when there was meant to be 2. At this stage, they're meant to actually be working with the final bidder to sell the club. There hasn't been a major movement in this 3rd bid stage where somebody's gone, there's 6 billion, because nobody, whether it's Al Thani, Sir Jim, investors or anybody, nobody is willing to pay the magic 6 billion for Manchester United. So the Glazers have had to accept defeat. And whilst they would like to be in a position where they can go, like they have done for the last 2 weeks, oh, we might take some private investment in and stay, they've seen from the reaction to that, and more importantly, the investors have seen from the reaction of that, that would basically be like jumping into a lion pit, plastering yourself in tomato ketchup. You're going to get ravaged. They can't do that. So, in summary, the situation is this. The Glazers don't really care about the protests on Sunday. Publicly, they're not really going to try and stop them because they know they can't stop them anyway. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because they've got offers on the table they know they're going to take, regardless of what happens on Sunday. And the offer on the table that it's expected to be taken, and there's huge confidence around it, is that of Al Thani and Qatar. Now, look, that doesn't mean that Sir Jim's not in the race. There's still 2 days to go. Maybe there's a little bit of propaganda going around here. I don't know. But certainly that's why I don't pay a lot of attention to... sorry, I'm just looking at the team news for the match later. That's why I don't pay a lot of attention to social media stuff, because, you never know where that's coming from. You just don't know. And maybe it is a last wag of the tail from the Glazers to try and force Sir Jim to think, I've lost, let's put a bigger bid in. Because ultimately they will go for the bigger bid. But the confidence around the Qatar bid has been there from day one. And the reality is the Glazers are going to sell. And the reality is that Al Thani and Qatar is expected to get this and are expecting to get this over the line. So look, I nearly let the cat out of the bag that I'm very happy about that. I'm very, very happy that the Glazers are going to sell. I think I've always had that stance since the summer that the stadium issue would force them to sell. I've always felt that all these stories about them wanting to stay and having investors to stay was a load of rubbish to try and drive the price up. And ultimately, I think it's been very clear for a very long period of time that the sale of Manchester United is a straight battle. And I say battle in the kindest sense of the word. I don't think Sir Jim Radcliffe and Al Thani are enemies or anything like that. I think they're competitive businessmen trying to acquire something they're really passionate about. But that's the race. It's between those two people. And I think Manchester United and the Glazers find and this is another thing to bring into the equation, they find, the way it was described to me is it's a little bit like the Ten Hag and Pochettino. Man United really liked Pochettino, but Ten Hag was head and shoulders the best candidate. And that is effectively what the situation is with Sir Jim and Al Thani. Al Thani would be the Ten Hag in this scenario, who is the presentation, what they're willing to offer, the infrastructure, and, let's be honest, the benefits beyond the deal that could be there for other Glazer outfits that they've got, compared to Sir Jim, who's well liked, but can't really offer what they're offering. So look, ultimately it's good news. Hi Mark, great job on the channel, says Grant, thank you very much. Andy Max gifted 10 memberships again, legend. Get your comments in, let us know what you're thinking. So look, nothing was going to stop these protests going ahead on Sunday anyway. And if you're at the game, I suggest you get involved in those, because that's maybe your last chance to have a pop at the Glazers and make them know how you feel. But ultimately, those protests weren't going to be stopped anyway. And the Glazers actually, if you think about it, cannot really stop those protests, and they also cannot announce on Friday that they're selling the club. But what they will appease themselves with is, regardless of it being all over CNN or Sky or TalkSport or wherever else, they know they've got offers for the club. And that's all that they're cared about. And ultimately, a load of people will say they hate them and they want them out of their club, but by the summer, they'll be long gone with £5 billion in their pocket, probably more. So that's ultimately where they're at. Mojo's just gifted 20 memberships as well. Thank you very much. Probably only the only time I say this, let's go Arsenal, says Sakin. Well, I am doing a watch along for that in about 15 minutes. You can join me across for that. But I did want to get this out here tonight because, as I say, I spoke to a couple of people. Now, the second thing I was going to say that's quite interesting, just while everybody else is talking about that, and trust me, there is a lot of rumours going around that Qatar are getting Man United, that Al Thani are getting Manchester United, and that's probably since about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Lots of people, whether it's, you might have seen it yourself, like I say, but industry-wide, there's a lot of people talking about it. God, Noel's aged a lot, hasn't he? Look like me gran. But look, anyway, away from that, the second thing I've been told, and Noel Gallagher might be quite pleased about this, the second thing I've been told today, separate to this, although was the same person to be fair, is that one of the same people who was talking about that to me. Apparently Bellingham's going to Man City. Now, I don't know. This is coming from a source. But apparently Bellingham's signing for Man City, and that's done and dusted, a little bit like Haaland was this time last year. Let's see. Let's wait and see what happens with that. I never thought he was coming to Manchester United. I never thought we could do anything about it. But I'm disappointed he's going to Man City. I like Jude Bellingham. Well, I'm disappointed if he goes to Man City. Obviously, we've heard this. But I'm disappointed if he does go, because I just think, it's It's just disappointing, isn't it? But we'll see. Hopefully this means a quick conclusion with all due diligence already completed, meaning no exclusivity period. Ten Hag could do with an idea of what he's working with in terms of transfers, says Joshua Bowalter. Well, I think that's a great update from Joshua. Better minds than mine, who are closer to these things, did confirm that to us 2 weeks ago, that the final bids go in on Friday. But before then, all the due diligence checks have been made so that whoever they go forward with, it should move a lot quicker. But look, we're moving into this period now. I think it's gone a little bit, quiet for a couple of weeks because obviously we've had games, we've had Sevilla, we've had the semi-final, and we knew that the deadline was on Friday. But we're getting close to that deadline now and things are starting to happen. I mean, we're literally 48 hours away from the 28th deadline and... there's a lot of stuff going around at the moment. And as I said, the sooner this gets confirmed, the better. I mean, where do I sit on the ownership of Manchester United under Al Thani? I mean, look, I think a lot of people out there who've sat as a collective, and some of them, I've seen the show. You know what show I'm talking about. They all sat there. I'm not comfortable with us being... I mean, they need to delete that video from that channel, don't they? I'm not comfortable with us being owned by Qatar. I'll probably still go as a journalist, but I don't really want to go because I'm against it. All those people are turning. They're twisting and turning 180 degrees, aren't they? Because they know what's coming. And, I'm sure they'll be looking to clip and edit those videos that those people have done about that because we all heard what they said. They were against it. And now it's suddenly like, shit, I need to make my bed because they're going to be in charge of Man United and I might want a piece of the action. So I think you can detect what's coming anyway because all the vocality about anti-Qatar and Manchester United, it's all died down, hasn't it? Which in itself is a big clue, but it's all died down because they all know it's coming and they all know they're not going to burn the season tickets and they all know they're not going to stop going to the press conferences and they all know they're not going to stop asking for interviews with the manager or players. So I think it's all coming to a head. And yeah, as I say, lots of rumours around at the moment. And as I said, I spoke to a couple of people today who, when we were talking about the protest and whether the Glazers would try and stop it, obviously they're not that bothered about it because they know they're going to sell. And the likelihood is it's going to be to Al Thani and Qatar, which, as I say, I don't know. I mean, I don't really look at Al Thani and Qatar from a human rights point of view or anything like that because I think the horse is bolted on that. I do. We've seen it with Saudi Arabia and Newcastle. We've seen it with Abu Dhabi and Manchester City. I look at it from a footballing sense. I think the thing that makes me feel a little bit uncertain is that, it's that whole cheat code, isn't it? It's a FIFA cheat code, basically. But having said that, I think football's going that way. You used to say it about Man City, they've got the FIFA cheat code and no one else has. Then Newcastle got it. Now we've got it. And I think if you want to compete, that's what you've got to do. I mean, we're just about to watch Man City probably take the title from Arsenal tonight. Why is that? Because they've got Erling Haaland. Because they've got Kevin De Bruyne. Because they've got Rodri. They've got fantastic players that cheat code has allowed them to have. Wrexham have had it to get promoted. And for those Man City fans and them Wrexham fans and them Newcastle fans, they're living the dream. And they're realising the dream because of that. I don't know whether I'm comfortable about having a cheat code that makes it easier for us than it does for Tottenham or Liverpool or Arsenal. But ultimately, I'm not looking down, I'm looking up. Man City have got it. And if we want to compete with Man City, we have to do it. Whether we like it or not, we have to do it. And I think I've just explained it in my head, and hopefully that's what you think as well. However uncomfortable you are about having the cheat code from the Middle East or America or wherever it comes from, if you don't have it, you're not competing. So do you want to compete? Don't worry about your morals because football left their morals outside the door a long time ago. Fans, we like to have our morals, but ultimately I think you have to be a realist. And realism is that, and the interesting thing as well is that, a few years ago, people were saying, well, Manchester, FC of Manchester did it, didn't they? Let's go and make our own breakaway club and do it properly. Well, go into the National League and you'll face teams like Wrexham now who've got money. So money's all over the place. That's what football's all about. What happens to the shares that the United, that the public holds, says Sacking? I don't know, mate, to be honest. I don't know. Welcome to Members Club, Karish. Thank you very much. And Siegfried as well. Appreciate that. Emmanuel says the Washington NFL team was sold for $6 billion, which is about $500 million more than what the team is actually worth. They are more profitable than United and have no debt. United will be sold, no doubt, in my mind, says Emmanuel. No, 100%. 100%. And as I say, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is because I've been saying all week that I think that the Glazers will announce this, they're going to sell the club before Sunday because of the protests, because the protests are going to be massively impactful. But obviously, speaking to somebody today, it contradicts what my opinion was, and logically it does, because they were saying Glazers won't give a shit about the protests on Sunday. Why would you care about the protests damaging the sale when you've already agreed the sale anyway? So they won't be that bothered. It'll be a bit painful for them, but when they know they're going to pocket 5 billion, why would you care about the share price anyway? They know they've got that money. And also the thing about the QATAR bid is they know they're going to get that money like that. Literally that money can be wired across tomorrow. So yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting next few days, isn't it? But I'll tell you what, it's going to be an interesting next few hours. I'm watching all the build-up. I'm going to be live on That's Football at 7:30 for Manchester City against Arsenal. I'm sure you're watching it, so please do join me. Just a reminder, tomorrow morning as well, some of you have already got tickets already because you're members, but if you are a member, by the way, you can get tickets to our end of season tour date in Dublin. It's going to be an amazing evening. You're very welcome. Link is in the community tab, and if you're a member, you will be able to see it, and some of you are new members tonight, so get yourself over there and get your tickets if you want to be there on June the 6th in Dublin. We have got a UK date coming out hopefully soon as well, which we'll let you know about. Joshua Bowwater, you're in the 90% club. I don't do 90% clubs anymore, mate. So get those. If you're not in the members club, you can wait till tomorrow morning and the tickets will go out for general sale. So tune in at 10 o'clock because that link will be out for everybody to get their tickets. It's a really nice venue. If you're in the Dublin venue, it's actually bigger than that one. They've got tables and chairs and all sorts. So it's a brilliant venue that we're in. More like Manchester if anyone was there. Robert McCormack's looking forward to Ireland. Brilliant, mate. And also don't forget as well, got to shout it out. Obviously, you've got to be over 18. Pleasegambleaware.org. But our TUS predictor game for tomorrow's night's game against Spurs is up and running. 2 of you won 500 quid each at the weekend. Links in the chat. You can free play as well if you want to, but if you want to try and win some money, you can do. Predicting against everybody else, 10 questions on outcomes within the game, like who gets an assist, how many corners and all that. Links in the chat for that. TUS predictor game for the Spurs game tomorrow where you can play along. I've got my entry in already. And I will see you over on That's Football in about 5 minutes' time for what is without doubt the Premier League title decider. It's a huge game. I'm looking forward to it. Not normally massively engaged in a game when it's not Man United. Normally just watch games, but this one's got something on it. I will see you over there in about 5 minutes' time. Thanks everyone for watching.